It's time for Tycoons of Small Biz, spotlighting the true backbone of the American economy, the true tycoons of business in America, the owners, founders, and CEOs of small businesses. The show's hosts, Austin Peterson and Landon Mance, are registered representatives of Lincoln Financial Advisors Corporation, a broker-dealer member SIPC, and registered investment advisor. The views expressed by your hosts, Austin and Landon, are not necessarily the views of Lincoln Financial Advisors. Let's lean in as Austin and Landon connect with this week's Tycoons.
Good afternoon, Tycoons, and welcome to today's episode of Tycoons of Small Biz. I'm here, as always, your host, Austin Peterson, and joined by the best co-host in the biz, Landon Mance, who is in studio today. We're excited to have him here. It's been a while with raising those twins, and so we're excited to have him here in the studio today. If this is the first time that you're listening to our podcast, we want to just quickly explain what it is that we do here at Tycoons of Small Biz. So we are a podcast by small business for small business, and what I mean by that is we take an opportunity each week to highlight and spend time with a small business owner, either locally or somewhere throughout the country, and allow them to tell their story. We're big believers that the small business owner is truly the backbone of the American economy. And so we put together this podcast to highlight them and give them a platform to tell their story. So with that, we will jump in, and we are excited, obviously, today to have two true tycoons in the studio with us. We've got Kay Bodude and Myrrie Hayes with Best Care Behavioral Homes. And they actually are sisters. And I've learned in their bio that they are numbers 13 and 14 in a line of 14 children. So we definitely want to hear more about that, what it was like growing up. But before we jump into the business side of things, you guys can decide who goes first. But tell us a little bit about you guys personally, how you grew up, how you got into business, whatever you'd like us to hear about you personally.
Okay. So Myrrie pointed at me, so I guess I'll go first. I'm the oldest. I'm number 13. We basically grew up, we grew up in a PK, preacher kids. So our father was a pastor. It's 14 of us. I'm a registered nurse by profession. So how I got into business was kind of by that way. I have about 30 years of being a registered nurse under my belt. We have done several businesses, but this one right here, we're very passionate about. We did a uniform store. We also did home health, assisted living, but the behavior home, we have a passion about that. I'm going to let Myrrie, so when she tell her part, she could tell the passion behind that. But our family's really close. And I don't know if people know, but when you grew up in a large family, you're still treated like the little sister. So we're still treated like the little sister. And my family located here 6 years ago to Arizona. A year after Myrrie, we decided we were going to move because we got tired of being little sister. And about after a year of being here, I felt like I had grew up. And I think I was about 44 then. So that kind of tell you. But, like I said, my background is in nursing, and that's where my business, I think I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur because my father kind of pushed me in that realm, researching and things of that nature for the church. And so it just, of course, landed over into nursing. I started as a volunteer in a hospital where my mom worked at. My mom was a housekeeper. They call it environmental services. And so I volunteered. That was a way to keep an eye on a young teenage girl. So right. I volunteered and stayed at the hospital until she completed work at 11. So I did my homework and everything at the hospital. And she just knew, I guess she was prepping me to be a nurse. And so I just followed in that aspect.
Yeah, that's cool. And Kansas City, right?
Kansas City is where we're from. Right. We call it Myrrie, but Kansas City, Missouri.
Well, about this time of year, I've been in Kansas City about this time of year, and I would definitely say it's Myrrie with how humid it gets there.
Humid. It's humid, yes.
Yeah. All right, Myrrie, the stage is yours, and then I've got some comments on what Kay had to say.
All right. Hello. That's my greeting on Instagram, so I had to do that. I am Myrrie Hayes. So I'm number 14 of 14 kids. Now, we were preacher's kids, and I like to let people know we were poor. We were poor, and we used to use our imagination to come up with things to do. So we would sell candy, we would sell pencils, so we always, in a sense, and then my dad, having the church, we would sell soda, hot dogs, things like that. So I guess he instilled in us always find a way to make some type of income, because they were sharecroppers. And so we never had enough of anything except for people in our house. In love. Yeah, in love. We had a lot of love. And so, like Kay said, my thing was I really never thought I was an entrepreneur. I liked to work for people because I wanted my check. And I was very competitive in every job I had. I was always competing in different competitions, competing with my peers, trying to make the biggest bonus, things like that. So I never really thought of myself as an entrepreneur. And so Kay kind of brought that out in me. And as far as us coming from Kansas City to Arizona, I visited here in Phoenix area in May and for a week. And I went back to Kansas City and I told my husband, we are moving to Arizona. And he said, yeah, right. And I found a realtor here. I found a house. I did everything online. She was taking videos for me. And then I went to him and I said, we need to be in Arizona at the beginning of August. This was right after May. And he goes, for what? I said, to sign the papers on this house. And he was like, are you serious? I said, yeah, we're moving. And we packed up one truck and we moved, and Kay came a year after. So like she said, being the youngest of that many is like nothing against my family because I love them, but it was like having a thumb on your head all of your life, So, but it helped us. When we came out here, because of that thumb that was on our head, we came out here and we
flourished.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah. So it's been great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that you guys have definitely blossomed and flourished out here just with what we know so far about your business and about you guys personally. But the comment is actually about being the youngest. So I'm the oldest child of 4 and really 6. I've got an older half sister from a previous marriage of my dad's or my stepdad's. I grew up and was always treated a certain way because I was the oldest child. Well, I married a youngest child of 7, right? And there was a very large span in number of years between the oldest and the youngest because my mother-in-law had a couple of miscarriages and a stillborn after the first child was born. And so the next child was actually one that they adopted. And then after that, they had them in succession pretty closely together. But there's 8 years between the first and the second adopted child.
Wow.
And then it, goes from there. But, just to give you an idea, my wife was 2 years old when her oldest sibling got married. And so when we first got, married and I was starting to spend time with her family, it was so strange to me to be treated the way that we were treated because they assume, you don't know how to get insurance on your own car and you don't know how to buy a house.
Yes.
And, you don't know how to do any of these kind of things because you're just, you're the baby, so to speak. And it's just barely started to kind of be treated the same, right? My wife's 47, so it's not like we're still super young, but it's crazy how that works in the family dynamic.
It is.
So true.
It is.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about Best Care Behavioral Homes. I mean, let's start by just telling us a little bit about what it is specifically that you do. I mean, I think people have an idea, but I think people have a hard time distinguishing between assisted living, nursing home, behavioral health, or behavioral homes, hospice, all those sorts of things. So just kind of give us a 100-degree or 100-foot view of what it is.
Okay. So Best Care Behavior Home, what we do is we provide residential care for SMI clients. And what SMI is severely mentally ill. And in the state of Arizona, you have to be classified as that. An SMI client will most likely have diagnosis of bipolar, schizophrenia, very deep depression, those type of diagnoses. And so in providing residential care, we have several homes. It's just like a regular, normal house that a person would live in. And it can have anywhere from 5 to 8. Now, they can't go up to 10, but we have a house that have 8, and we think that was a good number to stop at.
Okay.
With all the different personalities.
Sure.
Right.
And so they live in the home. They're provided meals. Some of them cook because they have to learn those skills, because it's not like the state of Arizona wants them to stay there forever. So our average client stay is 6 months. There are some clients that we have had since we opened, and that's been almost 3.5, 4 years ago. But they're not, I would say, the norm. They usually want people to learn community skills, learn how to cook, learn how to function on a daily basis, like most other people in life, and then move on their own. And so that's what we provide. We provide that skill. We do activities with them to teach them how to budget, how to shop for groceries, how to look for rental, how to look for their apartment, things of that nature.
Yeah, I think that's a great service. I mean, you say 8 being the limit. I think so. I've got a daughter that's going off to college this year, and we went and visited the campus, and we also visited where she's going to live. She's going to live with 8 girls, and none of them are mentally ill, right? Severely mentally ill. And I'm thinking, eight girls in this apartment. Now, obviously, your houses are a little bigger, but still, 8 people in one spot that have no family relation to one another, and add on top of that severe mental illness.
Yes.
I think you're onto something. I think 8 might be definitely the limit.
We felt like that was the limit. Yes.
And so some of those important skills that you just kind of mentioned. So you guys are teaching that to your what do you call them, clients or residents, or what do you refer to them as?
We refer to them as clients.
As clients, okay. So the clients that are in the home, how does that education actually take place? Do you bring specialists in and teach them kind of like in a classroom setting, or like how do they actually learn these skills that you guys are teaching them? How does that happen?
Our staff teaches. We create curriculums. So we do have a 6-month curriculum that has been created to teach budgeting. You go through a chapter of that, and the client interacts with you, and you do skills. Also, just different community skills. So they even had, you can step in. They even had we even have a chapter on
how to wash your hands properly.
Yeah, how to wash your hands properly.
With the coronavirus going
Yes.
around, we have a whole chapter just on that. So it's just basic life skills that we try to teach them, so when they do transition out, that they're safe.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So my curious mind, I'm going to a place where I'm thinking, okay, you're having this discussion, right, around starting a business, and this comes up, and you're like, yeah, let's discuss this, right? Let's dive into it. What is that process like to start something like that, where you are, correct me if I'm wrong, where you are essentially depending on the government for the revenue of your business? Is that an accurate statement? Because your clients are, the funding that you get for them comes from the government, I assume.
Correct.
Pretty much, yes.
Okay, so tell us, like, what is that kind of like? And then actually setting up the business, I assume you have to get permits and all kinds of licensing.
Yes.
Like, just talk to us about that, because I'm just curious.
Well, I guess that's my arena because I'm the application guru. So basically, I'll tell you how we came to the point, and then I'll tell you how. So basically, I had an assisted living. So that's how I started. We had a sister that was mentally ill. She's bipolar schizophrenic. She basically jumped on a plane with her purse and her Bible in her manic because she had developed bladder cancer. So she flew out here, called us and said, pick me up. I'm at the airport. You're going to take care of me. Well, she's 20 years my senior.
Yeah.
So I picked her up and got her services, because she was a vet, and took her to the VA, got her services, moved her into my assisted living. And she was always the type of person that was like, I'm going to pay my own way. So she asked me, how much does a room cost in your assisted living? And I told her, and she said, oh, that's a lot. Can I get a family discount? I told her, yeah. So she paid me at a discounted rate. I took care of her, well, me and Kay did, for the last 3 months of her life, and she passed away. So after she passed away, my first ever client, I can say her name, Mrs. Alice, I loved her. She passed away. I had her for 3 years in my home. Then someone else passed away. I said, this is not for me because I'm very sensitive. It was just too much. So me and Kay in a discussion, I knew I wanted to take care of people. Kay knew that that's the way she wanted to go. So we were like, let's do mental health. So then we start researching. As you know, that's Kay's hobby, researching. And we found out, hey, we could provide this service, residential service, to mentally ill clients. And so that's what we start doing, transitioning over, getting the business ready. As far as the process with the state, yes, you have to put in an application with the state. You have to get a fire inspection. You have to, make your house where it is handicap accessible, just small adjustments. Once you put in your initial application, the state will come and survey you. They will check out your home. They will check your policies. They will check your employee files, things like that. Once you pass, then you move on and you have to apply for access, which is a government, a state.
It's the Medicaid.
Yeah,
Medicaid
Medicaid
insurance.
for Arizona. Once you do that and you get your access, then you start applying with the insurances. But the thing about it is, with me and Kay, we had already, during this whole process, marketed ourselves, met with case managers, told them what our plan was, showed them what our plans were, showed them our curriculum that we were going to develop, things like that. And so they were like really impressed. And I think that is what kind of pushed us over, because we did the pre-marketing before we even, it was a year before we even got a client. We had a house. We had it fully furnished. Everything was done. We were out driving around from Pine Top to the Navajo Nation, we drove everywhere, staying overnight, just marketing ourselves, just talking to people and getting the word out before we had ever received a client.
Very cool. I mean, that seems brilliant. Why did you do that? I mean, looking back, I'm sure, it sounds like a really smart business decision, but what made you guys do that?
Just, we had a drive, and we always, our biggest thing was always, we were trying to change our family tree.
Yeah.
And we always say that even when we don't see eye to eye and we argue, our whole main purpose, because if it's 14 children, just imagine how many grandkids and great-grands.
Yeah.
And so that was our biggest thing, is that, hey, we got to change our family tree.
So if we're going to do this, then, and then too, we're believers. So I always, I don't know if we can say this.
You can say whatever you want.
Okay. But we listen to the Holy Spirit. And it's like, we didn't know. I mean, it's not like we had I told you, we grew up poor. We didn't have like $1 million sitting up somewhere. The Holy Spirit would tell us things to do. And Kay would be like, I don't know why, but we need to talk to this person. And then I would come to her and go, I prayed, Kay, and this is the way the Lord is leading us. It just happened.
It just started developing, yes.
Yeah. And my mom would call, I'm praying for y'all.
And we all know mom's prayers.
That's it, baby.
They go direct to heaven,
Fannie
right?
Mae.
Yeah.
Fannie Mae prayers.
Yes.
So I didn't plan on getting into this, but because you mentioned, changing your family tree, like define for us what that means to you, right? Because that could mean something different to a lot of different people.
Right.
You guys came from a large family, first of all, didn't have a whole lot of money. I grew up with not very much money at all. Great, very loving parents, but not much money at all, and didn't want to repeat that for myself and for my kids. So that's my story.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a feeling your guys' story is probably even deeper than that. So if you want to get into that, I'd love to hear your perspective on that.
When I say it, I do not want my children. I want my children to have choices. I'll say that.
Mhm.
I don't want them to have to do anything. I don't want them, like when I was 15, I had to get a job at Burger King, my first job. Thank you, Burger King, because I learned a lot of skills there.
Yeah.
I don't want my kids to have to. And that's my main thing. I want freedom and I want choices, because we didn't have, we had to do stuff. We had to do stuff. But I just feel like when I, in my mind, say I want to change my family tree, I just want us all to have choices, to where when we need something, or say if somebody wants to, go to school, hey,
We can pay for it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We
and
can
it's
invest
like,
in that.
I don't want my kids or people in my family to have to get loans and be burdened down. I want us to have freedom.
Right. So I just a quick comment. I have a ton of respect for what you're saying. However, on the flip side of that,
Yeah.
right? You probably know where I'm going with this,
yes,
right?
spoil kids.
How do you
Yeah.
No.
Yes. I mean, yes, of course, that can certainly happen.
Mhm.
But, the drive
Mhm.
that you two ladies have
Yes.
is definitely, at least partially, a result of your upbringing, right?
Yes.
So there's that challenge of finding that middle ground
Mhm.
between wanting them to have, the choices, but also empowering them to
Yes.
have that entrepreneurial drive for some of them that may have it, because you've got 6
Yes.
and you've got 7, right?
Yes.
So, and I don't know what the age range is of your kids, but maybe you can speak to how you've seen that kind of play out a little bit. That would be kind of neat.
Well, my oldest is 30 and my youngest just turned 14. So I have a wide range.
Right.
But my kids, like my 14-year-old, she's like, Mom, why are you always talking about business? I said, because life is business.
And business is life.
Right. So everything they do, they get commission. We don't do allowances. You're going to work for this. If you want something, if you want school clothes, guess what? I'm not just going to buy you school clothes because I work for this money. So you're going to work for it. So it's things that I do with my kids. I have 6 grandkids too. My oldest son, my 30-year-old, and his wife have 6 kids. My grandkids call me and they say, Mimi, we did this, and this. Can we have our commission now? And they send me videos and pictures of what they've done. So I'm like, there's no free rides here.
I got to start instituting that with Landon. He's been kind of riding my coattails, I think.
So I think mine is about the same.
Yeah.
My oldest is 33 and my youngest is 14. It seemed like I would get pregnant, she would get pregnant. She would get pregnant, I would get pregnant.
Yeah.
So it was like that closeness. But my oldest, he's a registered nurse like I am. But I think because they seen the hustle in the parents, they are like that. Because my son, not only the oldest, he's a registered nurse, he has his own real estate business. So he does that. All my children have a business.
Yeah.
Even the 14-year-old, well, I would say she's my assistant. She's been assisting mom through her surgery, her recovery. So she gets paid for that. But my daughter that's above her, she works for Best Care. We have an event center, and she manages that. So everybody
They work.
yeah, and it does give them choices. I give you an example. My oldest daughter worked at Taco Bell's. I always tell people this story, and it made me feel proud because I could tell the manager that a family member came in and was using foul language to her because they said the order got messed up. But then they got out of the car in the drive-thru, came into the store, and was cursing her out. Manager didn't do anything. So I said, okay, as a mom, I'm going up there to say something. So just so happened that day, the general manager came in, and I told him, I said, my daughter do not have to work here. I said, we have several businesses. She could work for those businesses. She wants to do it on her own.
Yeah.
She wants to work at Taco Bell so she can get that outside of the family business skills. And after I said that, I was like, because it's always something that has stuck with me. It was a person that said, you send your children to college, and then when they graduate, you send them out in the community to the wolves because they may not get a job. They may get paid less than what they should get paid. Things of that nature, and that always stuck with me. And so I was really that
Choices.
Yeah. So that's a changing the family tree is choices. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's crucial. First of all, I mean, obviously, we all want our children to have the best of opportunities, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. Is a lot of parents, and I will tell you that I was guilty of this a little bit too, because I grew up without some of those choices, right? I knew I wanted to change that. My parents wanted me to be able to change it, but they didn't have much ability to help me, right? And so I worked my way through college. It took me 10 years to get a 4-year degree, right? Because I worked my way through and wasn't going to come out of college with any loans, right? And I didn't want my kids to have to go through some of the things that I went through, right? Being told that there wasn't enough money for Little League. If you want to play Little League, you got to go out and earn the money yourself, and those sorts of things. And I overcorrected a little bit, and I just paid for it. And my kids were always able to play, travel league sports and, all those sorts of things, the dance companies and whatnot. And my kids are great kids. They both got great grades in high school, and both got scholarships in college. So we did some things that were good, but at the same time, there's some entitlement that I see in my kids that I really, really wish I didn't see in my kids, right? And this commission thing, I think, is brilliant. I should have done it the way that you did, because I think that the outcome would be a little bit better, a little bit different today.
Right.
And again, not a bad thing. My kids are great kids, but I feel like I could have done better because I think I overcorrected so that they didn't have to feel the way that I felt as a teenager not having certain things.
No, I get it. I watched the episode one time, and a comedian said, "You're broke. I'm rich." That's what he told his kids. So that's what I don't tell them I'm rich, but I'll be like, "You don't have any money? I do." But now my kids are like, "We do have money,"
It's a delicate balance. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think so far we're only halfway into this conversation approximately. And I think everybody either listening live or, listens to the recording is gonna love this conversation. I don't know how you couldn't. I can tell you, though, there's two people that are probably not going to like it. They're 15 months old twins of mine. They're going to listen to this and say, no, I don't like this commission thing you've been doing, Dad. Where did this come from? I'll be like, here, listen to this episode. Very cool. I'm definitely going to institute that. Like I said, I've got a boy-girl twins. They're 15 months
Oh my
old.
goodness.
So
Oh man.
yeah, we've got our hands full with them. But I love that commission approach. I've never heard that. Of course, everyone knows the allowance approach, but
Right.
the commission approach, I love that. All right, so you ladies are, I think it's fair to say, serial entrepreneurs. You've started and sold businesses. You own a business, but you don't just own one business. You guys have a collection of businesses. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay.
I'll let her start.
So, well, the behavioral health has been very good to us.
Yes.
And people see what we're doing and, because we post and things like that. So we ended up, it forced us to create a consulting business.
Yes.
So now we consult and we help other people set up their group homes, get their policies together, things like that. Then we couldn't find the caregivers that we needed. So it forced us to start Best Care Academy.
Yes.
And we train caregivers, not just for our business, but, for anyone that wants to get their caregiver certification. We'll be doing CPR. We'll, maybe beginning of next year, we'll start doing like LPN classes. So, our business is forcing us to start other businesses.
To have a nonprofit.
Yeah, and then we have a nonprofit.
And that's mostly we provide care packages for homeless, so we do that, and then we also do trainings through our nonprofit too, like educational training through the nonprofit.
Yes.
And then what else? We have the event center.
Yeah, we have an event center that actually falls kind of under the nonprofit, but we rent it out to baby showers, things like that.
Birthdays.
And her daughter manages it.
Yep.
Very interesting.
Yeah, no,
Very interesting. I love how they say forced, like somebody put a
We
gun to
had
their
no
head,
choice.
walked them down to the Secretary of State's office, made them sign the
I was just going to say, I'm going to start using that with my wife because Landon and I are looking at some acquisitions right now, and I'm going to have, I was forced.
He was forced.
There you go. You're welcome to use that.
It's not trademarked, or at least you're going to give me permission.
Not yet.
One of the things that you said earlier, and I obviously don't blame you, because I think that it takes a special person to do end of life care, right?
Yes.
I think seeing death as often as you do in that type of a home, I think would just be tough.
It
really does take a special person to do that. So tell us a little bit more about why you felt so drawn. I'm guessing it has something to do with your sister, but why you felt so drawn to the behavioral health and really how you guys just said, you know what, this is where we're going to focus and let's take it from here.
So from a clinical aspect, I see a lot of family members that kind of shun because they don't know how to react to people that have mental health. So the mental health person may have one day cursed them out, maybe stole some money from them or something of that nature. Then they don't speak to the family members. So we do personally have several residents that have no family contact with their family. And so that was my biggest thing, because I seen how we, lobbied behind my older sister. If she was in the hospital, my mom was there, or she stayed with one of the family members. But we always was trying to, even though she did things to us. I tell my mom at that my memory of her at 15. That's all I remember, is that she had a mental illness, and that's what I knew her from. And then, but it changed. After she got older, she finally realized that she was not going to be able to function without this medication. And that's what we are trying to get our residents to realize, maybe at an earlier age, because it was the last 5 or 6 years that she took her medication like she was supposed to.
Right.
But what if she would have did that when she was 30? How better of a life she would have had. She had a good life.
She did. She had a good life.
She was
so smart.
Yeah, she was. She was very smart. But I think about that. And so I think about that with my residents. If we could get them to realize that they have got to take this medication on a consistent basis, because most people that have mental illness, they start feeling better, they stop taking the medication. Or maybe they take the medication and it makes them feel funny. Instead of them going back to the doctor and say, hey, this medication makes me feel funny, let's try something else. They don't want to take it. And then they have a breakdown. And so that was my biggest thing, so that those people, so that the mental health, they will have somebody that has their back. And that's the thing with Best Care. They know when they come here to us, we're going to love them. We're not going to let you get away with a lot of stuff, but we're going to love you.
Right.
And we have people that have graduated still calls us and check in or follow us on our Facebook pages, because they know that Best Care, we're going to love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, it's, how do I put this? I think it's being talked about more than it ever has,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Mental health, which is a good thing. I think we still have a long way to go.
Yes.
There's still a lot of misunderstanding with that. And, you mentioned your nonprofit does this probably because there's a high percentage of homeless who are suffering from mental illness.
Yes.
And I've seen it in my own personal life. I have a younger brother that's bipolar. He's struggled with it his whole life. It's gone back and forth with, drug addiction and all kind, not being able to hold down a job, and all these sorts of things that come along with that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough to watch.
Yes.
He and I have not ever had much of a relationship, mainly because there's a big age difference.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gone and out of the house and started my own family before he was ever even really, a teenager or somebody that I could have a true relationship with, because of a blended family and my parents, my stepdad and my mom having these kids together, right? So we're trying to work on that. But I tell you, it's tough to figure out how to have that relationship. He and I are both simultaneously working on it. He sent me a message maybe a month or so ago and said, I know we've never really been close, but I want you to know I really appreciate what you've done for us, right?
Yeah.
I helped him out with some things a little while ago. And so it's building these bridges, but it's not an easy thing.
It's not.
And then on the medication front, there are other members of my family that don't have severe mental illnesses like that, but anxiety, depression, whatever, and talking to them about the importance of staying on those medications, right?
Yes.
Like, we see if you miss one day the difference. You may
Yes.
not see it, but we see it.
Yes.
Right.
Right. And so you just have to be consistent with it and understand that that's how you function best,
Yes.
is to stay on those medications, because the people in my life anyway sometimes want to use that as an excuse to not be able to achieve certain things in life. And my response is, but the medications that are working allow you to achieve whatever it is you want to achieve
That's
in
right.
life. And so stay on those medications, put in the work, learn the life skills that you ladies are teaching in your homes, if it's, severe enough to be in one of your homes. But those medications and the life skills have got to be things that are practiced day in and day out.
Yes,
Yes, that's it.
definitely. Consistency is very important.
That's right.
And we preach that in our homes. You have to be consistent, as far as the clients and then the employees.
And then the
We
staff, yes.
require them to be consistent, because anything out of the way can change the trajectory, of your whole house. So,
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, we're dealing with caregivers. My grandmother is 97.
Oh, wow.
Still lives by
That's a
herself.
blessing.
Yeah.
And still live by herself?
Still lives by
Oh, my
herself.
goodness.
Yeah, she's just a tad bit stubborn. Just
She's
a
a
tad.
pistol.
She is definitely a pistol, and she's sharp as a tack. She does like 3 crossword puzzles a day. That's
Oh,
like her
yes.
secret. To
Yeah.
her.
Keep
To
on
her.
living.
Yep, keeping mentally strong.
Good.
Okay, so I've got a question, but let me give some backstory before I ask the question. Last year in October, my wife and I purchased a residential investment property
Mhm.
just a couple miles down the road from us in Vegas. We live in Vegas. And it was super competitive then, just like it is now. There was multiple different offers in there. We put an offer in. It was not rejected, but overlooked because there was maybe a better offer. And so we passed on it and we moved on. 48 hours later, we got a phone call saying they're going to take your offer, right? We said, great. So we moved forward, closed on it, 30 days later, really smooth. As we had made a couple trips physically, made some trips over to the house, we noticed that there was some characters that kind of were hanging around the house.
Mm-hmm.
And the house directly next to us, it's going to be south. The garage door was always open, and we would see these people kind of coming and going, and it looked very suspicious. We honestly, we thought it was drug activity because it was just really weird. And on the other side of us, on the north side of the house, there was activity of just people kind of coming and going frequently, but we didn't really know what was going on. And we got our renter moved in there and had no issues until I got a phone call, and it was from our tenant. And he said, were you aware that the house on the north side and the house on the south side of us are both mental health behavioral homes? And I said, I did not know that. Would I have bought that property if I had known that? Honestly, I highly doubt it, because I'm not knowledgeable what that actually means. So I would have naturally had some fear around it. I probably wouldn't have done it. And we didn't really have any issues until I got this phone call. And he said, one of the gentlemen in the home next door, he came to our house at 3:00 in the morning and he was pounding on our door. And he's in the military. So he's waiting on the other side of the door with a heavy object in his hand. Luckily, he's a really even-keeled, reasonable, guy, and he just sat there and watched. And eventually, the guy did just leave the premises. He didn't call the cops because he knew what was going on. So my question to you is, how do you interface with the geographically surrounding community to these homes to help educate them and understand what you're doing, so that, I don't know, maybe it helps for a better cohesiveness or a better understanding? Or maybe just talk to us about that for a minute, if you would.
Well, honestly, our homes, you wouldn't even know.
Most people don't even know it.
You wouldn't even know, because I would say that's how we move. You're not going to know unless we tell you, or it comes up in a meeting or something like that, because most homes that we have, we're not required to tell you, and we're consistent. So they're doing groups, they're in the backyard, there's no hanging out in front of our home. So we have, they may go on a group walk or something like that. And you might be like, whoa, there's a lot of grown people living in that house. And then, put two and two together. But just the way we run our homes.
Yes.
We do have one facility in Myrrie. That's probably the only home or residential, facility that you may see people, because it's like a campus. It's about 3/4 of an acre. It's I guess a little meeting area in the middle with picnic tables. So that home, yes, you may see people outside, but our regular homes, you will not see people unless they're getting in a van to go on an outing. You're not gonna see anybody in front of the home or picking up trash in the front yard or something. But
and another thing too is, there's so many different types of residential living facilities. Yeah. So I know one of my friends has assisted living next door to her. People would think that was like a mental health, but it's not. It's a transitional home. So there's probably like 30 people in that house. but they thinking automatically because they familiar with group home. Oh, that must be a group home. It is a certain type of group home, but it's really not reimbursed by the state. The people
It's kind
the
of like a
client-
boarding home.
the
kinda,
clients whatever the income they have, they pay rent to stay there, and so different things of that nature. So we really haven't
We haven't had any.
I think that the Globe Project, but the Globe, we say Globe Project because believe me, it's a project. But we met with talked with the community because they were saying that, oh, is it going to be people
breaking into our homes and stuff like that? And it was like, no. So we did actively, reach out, had an open house, had the community come in. But yeah, we keep a pretty tight,
Low profile.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I believe one, because how we grew up, and then also my background in healthcare. So there's a lot of things that I didn't seen that I'd be like, okay, I tell them, oh, this is not going to work or this is going to work, and then sometimes it's just trial and error.
Yeah.
But most of the time, a little bit of that experience.
Yeah, it sounds like the guidelines that you guys have in place change, even if it is the same type of home that Landon has on both sides of his property in Vegas. It sounds like you guys run yours better, right?
Yeah.
We stick to the guidelines.
We're best care.
That's one thing because we don't like trouble. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
We want to do what's right. We want to,
Yeah.
and that's what we tell our people that we consult with. Just do what's right, and the money's gonna come. You're gonna do well, but just do what's right and keep yourself out of trouble.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
BOYBB. Be on your best behavior.
I was gonna ask what the shirts were.
We need to get Austin one of those
Yeah,
shirts.
Just say that's a
In
good
pink,
message
in
for
pink.
everybody.
Yeah.
Hey, I can pull off pink.
He can.
Oh, I guess a little red today, but I do have some pink that I wear. So we only have about 10 minutes left, but there are a couple questions I want to make sure we ask, and you guys can choose who answers which one, or, you guys split up both or whatever. But one, I want to, and you just kind of hit on it a little bit on one of them, but what sets you apart from other businesses in the same industry?
Yeah.
And then the second part to that is, what does the future hold for you guys?
Okay. So I would say what sets us apart is we're best care. No, it's kind of like we told you about our sister. I just feel like we have a passion for the people. It's not about the money. We're in business to make money, yes, and we run it like a business, but it's all wrapped, in a pretty package in a bow because we love the people, because of our sister Hattie. So it's like we honestly want to help the people because it took us a while to become profitable in doing this because, like I said, we were traveling around, we were doing all this extra stuff that other people just don't do because we wanted to ultimately set ourselves apart from everybody else. And so there's things that we're doing like the curriculum. They don't require us to come up with our own curriculum. We chose to invest to do this. Now, maybe one day, one of the insurance companies will pick it up. No, pitch. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, it's like there's things that we do in our business and it's not about the money.
Mhm.
We really want the people to be successful.
Yeah.
And I think with us consulting and seeing other people's homes and what they're doing, I really believe that's what sets us apart because it's really, the money was a perk, you know?
Yes, it was. It
Yeah.
was.
We just wanted to make a decent income and help people out. The money was a perk, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think that's a misunderstanding by a lot of people. And I think I believed this to a certain extent too, that, you get set up and then essentially somebody at the government, right? Social welfare or social, the social programs are just referring people to you guys nonstop. But that's not the case. I mean, you guys are out there beating the streets and getting your name out there.
They specifically reach out to us. A lot of the case managers, even the residents, because some people, they'll stay for 6 months. They may leave for 2 years, and then they have a break or a year. They will specifically, hey, I want to go back to best care. They'll ask for us. And so, yes, we are beating the streets, marketing ourselves,
building relationships. Yeah, that's really important.
We're big about that. She always say, we got to build relationships.
And we're very reciprocal. We try to do things for people, not in essence to receive something back, but if you do something for us, you're going to receive something back. Yeah. So that's how we deal with people. Not always just like, give me, but it's like, let's build a relationship where we can help each other, add some value to each other.
We seen that as growing up. My dad was always like that. He was always in my mom too, but they were always.
But more my dad
helping.
No,
Mama better not be listening.
Mom had to keep dad straight though. Yeah, but we seen that, and that's part of the Bible. My dad always would say, if you go around with your hand closed, nothing can get in there, and nothing can come out. But if you go around with your hand open, things
they'll flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have to believe that, because the family that we had, I was thinking to myself, the money that I make now, and I seen what my dad was making on his last job before he I said, I made more graduating from nursing school in the first years than my dad, and he was taking care. In that time, it was 9 of us in the house.
Yeah.
And I said,
they were making like $12 a day. When they moved to Kansas City, they were making like $12 a day. Like literally. How can you feed a family? And it's like we would be like, why are we feeding these people? It's enough of us. Because my mom would cook. She'd get up and make homemade biscuits every morning, homemade syrup. She'd feed the kids in the neighborhood. And we're like, excuse me, we're poor. And she's like, nope. They always gave. So that's how we grew up. So it's like, that's just what we do.
That's what we do.
That kind of flows over the globe. You said what's happening in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We bought a city block in Globe, Arizona, and we are in the process of setting up a 56-bed facility because we want to take it to another level. And then ultimately we want to have a crisis unit. We want to have a elderly, like
assisted living. They'll be on there
because they said they need assisted livings in that area. So we just want to take the block and turn it into something that's going to be great for the community in Globe.
Yes.
So that I feel like that is a big focus of our future.
Yeah.
So just clarify, you bought a city block?
It's a whole block.
Okay, I just want to make
sure. These ladies go big.
Yeah.
Apparently.
And we don't, and that's what people are like, because we paid cash for it. We didn't know any better. And people were like, why did y'all do that? People that are more educated in business. No, you never. Well, we didn't know. We had the cash and we paid for it.
Don't use your own
Don't
money.
use your, so the thing is, in business, we've never been, our mom had a 8th grade education. Our dad had a 6th grade education. So, their focus was graduate from high school. That was their thing, And so we weren't around a lot of business people. So we're learning as we go, So everything we do isn't going to be perfect or right. But at least we know we don't owe our mortgage on it.
Nobody can take it from us.
Yeah. Austin, I don't know about you, but I feel like they might possibly benefit from some financial planners that specialize specifically in working with successful private business owners. I don't know.
I have a feeling that Kay has done some research. Because they did ask us if we were fiduciaries.
Right. Good point. Yep. Good point. Well, ladies, as I posted, one of you two liked it. As I posted on LinkedIn yesterday, having a conversation with you guys the first time we talked, within 60 to 90 seconds, I just like, these ladies are incredible. You're coming on the show no matter what. So
Thank you.
thank you guys so much for coming on. This has been just absolutely phenomenal. For anybody that wants to get in touch with you, to get to know you, to buy you coffee, to hire you to do consulting work, or whatever the case may be, what's the best way for people to track y'all down?
Well, you can visit our website, bestcarehomes.com. That's the easiest way. Or you can call our office. Patricia, our faithful office manager.
Yeah.
She's always available.
And we'll always answer the phone.
Right. That's 602-675-1686.
Yes.
Or you can email us at support@B like best, C care, B behavioral, H health, AZ.org. So bcbhaz.org.
And you're obviously on LinkedIn.
Yes, I'm on LinkedIn as Myrrie Hayes. I don't know. Are you on LinkedIn, Kay?
I'm somewhere on LinkedIn
Yeah.
in Alignable. She's the computer.
Yeah, I'm kind of the face. So
And
you
she's
can
the computer
you can
person.
follow me on Facebook at Myrrie Hayes, LinkedIn at Myrrie Hayes, Instagram I am My Reasons Why. Because I show my reasons why I do this on Instagram. So
Very cool.
and that's all the ways to get a hold of us.
That's right.
Well, yeah, no, we've really appreciated the conversation. I think we could sit here for hours and talk to you ladies about where you came from and what you've been able to build. I know for sure 6 to 12 months from now, we're going to want to get an update on Globe and how things are going there and what, what's going on for you guys. But, we've really appreciated the conversation. We know that people are listening that are going to appreciate the advice that you guys have given and hearing your story and allowing that to inspire them to go out and build their own story. And for that,
Great.
we thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you for inviting us.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to Tycoons of Small Biz, proudly hosted by Austin Peterson and Landon Mance. Austin and Landon are comprehensive financial planning professionals specializing in financial, estate, and succession planning for small business owners. Austin and Landon have offices in Scottsdale, Arizona, and Las Vegas, Nevada, and represent clients in 14 states throughout the country. Join Austin, Landon, and the featured Tycoons live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. right here on Business RadioX and your favorite podcast.